Well, we are continuing to honor our service members for Veterans Day, and joining us now to talk more about his experience with the United States Marines is Major Jim Bottrell. Good morning, Jim. We're not talking real estate this morning.
I'm not dressed like a realtor today.
We obviously know you were a Marine, and so it's a fun time to say thank you for your service.
Thank you for paying for it. I spent a lot of your money in Iraq, which is a joke I always make anytime somebody says thank you for your service. I always say thank you for paying for it. I spent a lot of your money in Iraq. But it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of not. It's the American taxpayer actually paid for everything. So when I was over, I was a company commander of the initial invasion in 2003, right behind the dozers, knocking down the berms, the rockets and artillery and everything. I was right in the middle of it, and whatever I needed was there. And whatever we needed was there. And it's because the American taxpayer, we had those advantages that the other side didn't have. So that's why I always say thank you for paying for it.
Well, and I say thank you for doing a job that I don't want to do and couldn't do. So thank you. It is something coming from a military family I'm very grateful for. However, I did not have a Marine in the family, so this is where you get to get all your jokes in. I know,
lots of jokes.
I know, get all your jokes in. But, we just celebrated the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps yesterday, and I know you have a long history lesson that you love to share about the start of the Marine Corps.
Well, yeah, so yesterday, November 10th, 1775, the Marine Corps was created prior to the United States. A lot of people ask me, why was the Marine Corps created? Well, first of all, we're the Department of the Navy. And here's the first joke. You ready?
Got it.
So anytime somebody says, well, you guys are Department of the Navy, and we say, yeah, men's department, right? Female Marines will say that.
I will say sorry to all of the Navy members out there.
Oh, no, we love our Marines. They give us a ride anywhere we need to go somewhere.
Yeah, I've heard that joke.
We love Doc, though. We love Doc. Doc's always there. 2 Motrin and change your socks fixes anything. Right?
All right, so it was created, Jason and I were talking about this on Friday. He's like, did you know it was created in a bar? I said, yeah, well, any place outside of a house in 1775 was a bar.
Well, yeah, so it was actually created in the 1700s. We had a Navy, and the Navy had a few things they were short on. They needed sharpshooters. So as they came alongside another ship to board that ship, they wanted to have snipers up in the rigging, so they needed people who could shoot. They could shoot down on the enemies. They needed, of course, the crazy people that are going to jump off a perfectly good boat onto someone else's boat and try and take it from them. And then if they were going to do any type of land campaign, because everybody on the boat in the Navy has a job in the Navy. So what the Navy was doing is like, well, we need a particular breed of human being. Where do we find this particularly somewhat crazy breed of human being, because they got to really like to fight. And they started thinking, like, where do we see lots of fights? And they thought, bars. Yeah, okay. And so they thought, well, where's the fightingest bar around? And there was this bar called Tun Tavern in Philadelphia, of all places, that had the reputation of at the end of each night, they had to sweep up all the teeth, that got knocked out from all the fights. They said, let's go start the Marine Corps in a bar. All right, I am not creative enough to make that up. That is actually where the Marine Corps got started. They were setting the tone right out of the gate with that one. Drinking and fighting.
Drinking and fighting. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. All right, so what about, this is a fun one, a couple of the nicknames the Marines often go by.
Well, one, we don't call ourselves jarheads, but everybody, it's the most common one. And I call it, I think they're just jealous of this high fashion haircut that I still sport today, 20 years later. And, they're just jealous. And I'll see personally from a perspective of myself, I'm actually really lucky that the Marine Corps introduced this high fashion style that I have got going today, because my hair just grows straight up. And if it wasn't for them introducing high fashion to me, I'd look like Beaker from Sesame Street, or maybe 1980s Rod Stewart, I don't know. And then the other one is leatherneck. And that comes back from the 1700s when they were boarding other ships. They wore a very high, stiff leather collar that was to deflect the blows of a cutlass, which is basically a pirate sword. It also promoted good military posture. So that we still have that in our dress blues today. It's a very high, very uncomfortable collar. Dress blues, we can all agree, the most, well, I'm not going to use any expletives, greatest uniform of any service ever in the history of the world. Not even a conversation about that.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
I think there are Navy whites
I can't even see second place, okay? All right. So anyway, then the other one is Devil Dog. And actually, that one we like a lot. We actually call each other that. Okay. That actually comes from World War I in the fight of Belleau. So the U.S. was late to show up to World War I. The French were getting their butts kicked. Germans were just rolling right through Germany. So the Marines showed up. They actually, with the French, stopped the Germans. First major encounter with the Marines, the Germans got stopped in their tracks. And then the French looked at the Marines and said, hey, let's pull back to a better defensive position and back. Quote, Marine Corps leadership said, "Retreat, hell, we just got here." So the French left, leaving the Marines by themselves. The Marines put on their gas masks and fixed bayonets and charged into the German lines. And through the bloodiest, most violent fighting that there was in all of World War I, in that fight, the Marines prevailed. And a captured German officer said the Marines just kept coming, and they were fighting like satanic dogs. And so that was devil dogs, and we said, Marines looked and go,
yep,
cool.
that fits.
Cool, I like that one.
All right. Well, Jim, thank you so much for sharing some fun with us on this Veterans Day, and happy birthday to the Marines out there as well. And thank you again for your service that I paid for, right?
You did.
I see, I preempted the joke. All right. We'll be right back, and of course, it's all in good fun. We thank every branch of the military. We'll be right back.
We have time for the quote that you and Jim couldn't get to.
Yes, and it's an Eleanor Roosevelt quote that I'm going to let you read, but a perfect way to wrap up Veterans Day, and a happy birthday to all of the Marines.
Should I do it as Eleanor? So long ago. All right, the Marines have seen, this is Eleanor Roosevelt's quote, "The Marines I have seen around the world have the cleanest bodies, the filthiest minds, the highest morale, the lowest morals of any group of animals I've ever seen. Thank God for the United States Marines."
Happy Veterans Day, everyone, and thank you for your service to all of our veterans.
If you enjoyed this video and you want to watch more videos like it, be sure to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date in the latest real estate trends and developments. I'm Jim Bottrell, the Jim Bottrell Real Estate Team. I'll see you next time.